Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are continuing with our Bhagavad Gita study. Yesterday Pyarimohan Prabhu did verse number 58. So today we'll continue with 59. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Chapter number 2, verse number 59. Yes. Okay. Vishaya vinivartante.
Vishaya Vinivartante.
Niraharasya dehinaha.
Niraharasya Dehinaha.
Rasavajjam rasopyasya.
Raso Varjam Rasopyasya.
Param drishtva nivartate.
Param Drishtva Nivartate.
Vishaya vinivartante.
Vishaya Vinivartante.
Niraharasya dehinaha.
Niraharasya Dehinaha.
Rasavarjam rasopyasya.
Raso Varjam Rasopyasya.
Param drishtva nivartate.
Param Drishtva Nivartate.
Vishaya vinivartante.
Vishaya Vinivartante.
Niraharasya dehinaha.
Niraharasya Dehinaha.
Rasavarjam rasopyasya.
Rasavarjam Rasopyasya.
Param drishtva nivartate.
Param Drishtva Nivartate.
And the devotees recite, please.
Vishaya Vinivartante.
Vishaya
Nivartante.
vinivartante.
Niraharasya Dehinaha.
Niraharasya dehinaha.
Rasavarjam Rasopyasya.
Rasavarjam rasopyasya.
Param Drishtva Nivartate.
Param drishtva nivartate.
Vishaya Nivartante.
Vishaya
Vishaya
vinivartante.
Niraharasya Dehinaha.
Niraharasya
Harasya Dehina.
dehinaha.
Rasavarjam rasopiyasya.
Rasavarjam
Rasavarjam
rasopyasya.
Param drishtva nivartate.
Param
Param
Drishtva
drishtva
Nivartate.
nivartate.
Vishaya Nivartante.
Vishaya
Vinivartante.
Vinivartante.
Rasya Dehina.
निराहारस्य देहिनः
वर्जं वशोऽप्यस्य
रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य
परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्ते
परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते
विषया विनिवर्तन्ते
विषया विनिवर्तन्ते
विनिवर्तन्ते
निराहारस्य देहिना
निराहारस्य
निराहारस्य देहिना
रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य
रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य
रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य
परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते
परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते.
निवर्तते
Okay, synonyms. Vishayaha,
विषयाः
विषया
objects for sense enjoyment.
objects for sense enjoyment
Vinivartante,
विनिवर्तन्ते
are practiced to be refrained from.
are
are
practiced to be
practiced
refrained from
from
Niraharasya, by negative restrictions.
by negative
by negative
restrictions
restrictions
Dehinaha,
Dehinaha
for the embodied.
for the embodied
Rasavarjam,
Rasavajam
giving up the taste.
Giving up the
giving
taste.
up the taste
Rasaha,
Rasaha
sense of enjoyment.
Sense of
sense of
enjoyment.
enjoyment
Api,
Happy.
although there is.
Although there is.
although there is
Asya,
Asya.
is.
His.
Param,
Param.
far
Param.
superior. Sorry,
Far
far superior things.
superior things
Drishtva,
Drishtva.
by experiencing.
By
by
experiencing.
experiencing
Nivartate,
Nivartate.
Nivartate
he ceases from.
He ceases from.
from
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Purport: unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life, but such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So we are in this section of the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is teaching a kind of yoga. Who remembers the name of the yoga? What yoga is Krishna teaching in this section of the Bhagavad Gita?
Sankhya Yoga.
Yes, Sankhya Yoga is also part of this chapter, but he kind of finished the Sankhya section and he went into a newer section.
Jnana Yoga. No.
You're getting close.
Bhakti. Then what's that? Bhakti.
It could be called Bhakti Yoga, but He gives a specific name. Krishna himself gives a name for this yoga that he's teaching. Any guesses? Any others?
That Dharana, Pratihara, whatever he says, that is Ashtanga Yoga. So
Yes, that is Ashtanga Yoga. That will come in chapter 6. Okay, I will pull up the verse. I think verse number 39. Let's see. I just show the Sanskrit. Maybe we can figure out. I like to, get our consciousness back to where we are, what we're doing. I know every verse, every paragraph of Srila Prabhupada is good, but it's good to know where we are. I zoomed and it went back. Okay. What yoga do you see in this verse?
Buddhi Yoga.
Yoga.
Yes, Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna said, Esha te abhihita sankhya buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu. So far I have described to you Sankhya, and now listen to me while I explain to you the concept of Buddhi Yoga. And this concept of Buddhi Yoga that Krishna has explained to Arjuna primarily talked about this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Again, that word Vyavasayatmika Buddhi has come up a couple of times in this section. And that constituted having a single focus, not being distracted by the various fruits that Vedas will offer us, but go beyond the three modes, which go beyond the fruits that are within the three modes of material nature. He told Arjuna, you should go beyond these things. And then he said something. Let me just go through the Sanskrit verse view and hide everything else. Okay. So after he has done that, then towards 52, 53, then he said, you will get to that yoga. You see here again, yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tadagantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When your intelligence passes through the dense forest of delusion, you will transcend, what you have heard. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhis tada yogam avapsyasi. You see the word buddhi here, and even here also, samadhi and achala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. So he's talking about this concept of buddhi yoga. And even the verse before, karmajam buddhi yuktahi, you again see this word buddhi, 51, 52, 53, and vyavasayatmika buddhi, buddhi. This word buddhi keeps coming. So then Arjuna is like, okay, hold on a second. Let's talk about this. And he also uses this word. Samadhi is there in the previous word. Let me look up this word prajna. So he initially said, Arjuna, you are talking like prajnavada, but you are not there yet. So now Arjuna is asking. So this person whose intelligence, whose buddhi is fixed, Arjuna uvacha, stita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stitadih kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. So you must have discussed this verse. Stita prajnasya ka bhasha. Bhasha means what? Bhasha, sometimes we say language, right? Bhasha means language. It can also means the description. How do you describe a person who is Estita Prajna, who is situated in Samadhi? Because Krishna talked about Samadhyau Achala Buddhi. Achala Buddhi is same as Stita Prajna. Achala means which is shaking, but the Stita fixed Prajna, Buddhi, and is in Samadhi. Samadhistasya Keshava. Stitadi kim prabhasheta. So one whose intelligence is fixed, who is in Buddhi Yoga, kim prabhasheta. How does he speak? Kim asita. How does he sit? Kim vrajeta. How does he walk? So how do you describe a Stita Prajna? And how does he express himself? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So this was Arjuna's question. After Krishna has elaborately described Buddhi Yoga, and this person, you have to be that person who is in Samadhi, who is situated in Buddhi, who has this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. You should transcend the three modes. You should transcend the Vedic teachings, which are aimed at fruitive activities. And you have to get out of this dense forest of ignorance. So now, all right, Krishna, I want to know more about this. What is this you're talking about? Now, can you explain to me the behavior of such a person who is in this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi? How do you describe him? And, so these words have deeper meaning. So how do you describe him? That's clear. And Krishna describes him as Shri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sita Prajnas Tadochyate. Says that person Prajahati Yada Manogatan Sarvan Kaman, that desires which are born out of his mind, that mental desires that he has, he will give up all those desires. And he is happy within himself. And that person is called Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna tada uchyate. So this is the meaning of Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. And Samadhistasya Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. One who is situated in Samadhi, fixed in intelligence. How do you describe him? This is how you describe him. He gives up all his mental concoctions and he is happy within himself. The desires are caused, the materialistic mind, these material desires, but Atma has no material desires. He is situated in Atma. And then, Stitadi kim prabhasheta. How does he speak? This speaking means how does he express himself when there is agitation, when there are disturbances. So then Krishna describes in two verses, 56-57, Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigatas prihaha vitaraga bhayak krodastitadir munirichyate. So when there is distress, dukkeshu anudvigna manaha, he is not disturbed in mind when there are miseries, and he is not elated, he is not puffed up when there is a favorable situation for him. Vita raga bhayak krodaha. He is given up attachment, fear, anger, and this person is a Sthitadir Muni. Now this is the description of Kim Prabhasheta. How does he speak? Means how does he react to various situations in life? Yes, sarvatra nabhisnehas tat tat prapya shubhashupam nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. So whatever, and he is unattached to everything. Sarvatra anabhisnehaha tat tat prapya shubhashubham. So he may get auspicious things, good things, or ashubham, inauspicious things, bad things. Na abhinandati nadveshti. He doesn't praise, nor he criticizes. So this is how this person who is situated in Buddhi Yoga reacts to various things in his life. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashah indriyan indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. Now this is answering from this verse till I believe verse 62 or 63, where the process of fall down is described. These verses are describing the situation which is called Kim Asita. Asita means how does he sit? We have the word asana. So how does he, Kim Asita, how does he sit? Now, if you see these verses, I believe verse number 61 or 62, okay, 61. You see here, Yukta Asita. You see this word Yukta Asita? This word Asita is same as what Arjuna asked in verse number 54. He asked in 54, Kim Asita? And Krishna ends with Yukta Asita in 61. And later he describes from 62, 63, the difficulties of a sadhaka who is trying to be situated. He will have some problems in his practice. That's what is discussed in those two verses. So the verse we discussed yesterday, Pyariman Prabhu gave such a wonderful talk on the example of the tortoise, how the tortoise is sitting, is situated itself when there are external temptations. And today's verse describes how actually he's able to do that. So in the, let's go back to our verse number 58. Sorry, 59. Okay. So today's verse, Vishaya vinivattante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya parandrishtva nivartate. Now, we have seen in the previous verse that he basically, like a tortoise, kurmonganiva, just like a kurma, angani, limbs, just like it withdraws its limbs. Similarly, a sthita prajna also, he refrains from sense enjoyment. So this was discussed in the previous verse. But how he does it, that's the point. How is he able to do that? There are different ways of doing it. I mean, in different circumstances, a person may do it. For example, you should refrain from eating in a restaurant, if that's our goal. But a poverty-stricken person who has no money to eat in the restaurant, he also doesn't eat in the restaurant. Is that sthita prajna? Is that buddhi yoga? How is he able to do that? And Krishna answers in this verse. So, niraharasya dehinah. The word dehinah, so many times it has come, deha and dehi. What does the word deha and dehi mean?
The material body and the embodied soul.
Yes, yes. So the body and the soul. Deha is the body and dehin is the one who has this body. So this dehinaha niraharasya. So by restrictions, rasavarjam vishayaha vinivartante. So he can give up. What can he give up? Vishayaha. Vishayaha means the sense objects. This word Vishaya means the materialistic objects, the sense objects. What is the meaning of sense objects? What is a sense object? When we say sense object, what is a sense object?
Something that pleases your senses and not Krishna's?
Yes, so various objects that are pleasing to our senses. It could be pleasing to Krishna also. anything that's consumed by the senses is a sense object.
Oh.
So it could be some food that we eat, whatever is gratifying to senses, it's a sense object. So, okay, now by nirahara, that means by restriction, I am not enjoying that object. So now that object, I'm able to tolerate enjoying that object by restrictions. But here, rasa varjam means except what can be given up, vishaya can be given up, rasa varjam vishaya can be given up. Means the sense object except the taste can be given up. Rasa means taste. So that means the object can be given up, but the taste for the object cannot be given up. So we can say, give up eating gulab jamun. The gulab jamun is sitting there. Now we have a restriction that you should not eat it. Okay, I'm not eating it. But the taste for gulab jamun is still there. The desire to have it is there. We are just refraining from it. So this is the situation of a niraharasya. But api, but asya param drishtva nivartate. By higher drishti. What does the word drishti mean?
Vision.
Yes, vision. Drishti means vision. So that's a typical word. Drishti means vision. And darshana, what does the word darshana mean? We go to temple to have darshana.
Whatever is visible to the vision.
Darshana means the process of seeing. The process of seeing the Lord, we call it darshana. What are the darshana timings? So, a lot of times in the Vedic literature, this word darshana, drishti, drishtva, these are used, which are the idea of seeing. But by extension, it means experience of the senses. Not higher, just experience. You could say the experience. So it's not just the experience through the eyes, but every experience that we may have, this is darshana. So even a spiritual master, in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Tadviddi pranipatena, who knows this verse? I'm sure a lot of you are memorizing verses.
Pariprashnena sevaya upadeshamrita jnanam
Padekshanti te jnanam
nam tattva-darshanam.
Jnanina upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva-darshinaha. Jnaninaha tattva-darshinaha means who has seen the absolute truth. Now, what does this word who has seen the absolute truth mean? Does that mean they are seeing Krishna walking here and there? There's, Radha and Krishna dancing in front of them. What does this word tattva darshinaha mean? Those who have seen the absolute truth. So this word tattva darshinaha, and here the word drishta, drishtva, and we have shed darshanas, the 6 philosophical systems, darshanas.
Yeah, those who have understood the philosophical truth of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, so it is more of an experience than the vision with the naked eye. So here param drishtva means, param means the transcendental, that higher drishti, experience. So this is very important to understand. It is not like seeing is believing. And if you see the literal word, it's a param drishtva, that means you have seen something higher. This is the higher experience. And I have seen a couple of times actually, some people asking when we attend some of the Maharaj's classes, it was Gopal Krishna Maharaj, somebody asked, is one of my colleague who was actually a Muslim, have you seen God? Have you seen God? He's a guru, he must be Tattvadarshi. Have you seen God? And Maharaj said, I haven't seen the God in the sense of seeing, but I can tell you this much, that without serving Krishna, no one can be happy. Without serving Krishna, no one can be happy. And that much I have experienced. So I was intrigued what answer he is going to give to this person. That I'm confident, I can tell you that without serving God, you will not be happy. I will not be happy. None of us will be happy. And then later, next day, I was reading Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, and this is something that Prahlad Maharaj says. So then Maharaj, I realized that his realization was in line with Prahlad Maharaj's realization. And this is what Tattvadarshina means. They have this experience through hearing from their spiritual master, by service to their spiritual master, by the practice of devotional service. They have these realization and experiences. And this is called Paramadrishti. And by this Param Drishtva, Nivartate. What can be Nivartate? Rasopi Nivartate. Even the taste for sense enjoyment can be given up. We no longer have the taste for sense enjoyment. Only if it is for Krishna service, that person can engage in that activity. So by restriction, things can be happen. For example, if someone has diabetes, and that person may refrain from eating, sugar. But as soon as there is substitute for sugar, then everybody started eating. So when there is no substitute for sugar, okay, you are refraining. So it doesn't mean they became Sthita Prajnas, they are situated in Buddhi Yoga. As soon as there is a substitute, now everybody starts using it. Say we want to give up coffee. I'm not picking on anybody. It's very hard to give up the taste of coffee. It smells so good. So we give up the coffee. And one devotee gave me the substitute. Is it that what, Roma coffee? Roma or Caffrey or something. And it was so good, exactly like the coffee I had, long time ago, like the brew coffee. Wow, like I'm not gonna get trapped by this. So that I have given up the taste, but now the taste is there. It's of course, this is caffeine free, and they offer to Krishna and all that stuff, prasadam. But say if that's not there, will that taste bother us? Will that taste is pulling us to, I want to have it, I want to have it. So when we experience some higher things, it's easy to, okay, it doesn't bother us anymore. So it's not like a diseased state, we are giving up things by restrictions, but by experiencing higher taste, we are able to give up. And Prabhupada says here, one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness, no longer has taste for dead material things. So this is the secret, is because the beauty of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna consciousness is so wonderful that there is no more taste for lower things for that person. And only until we get taste for Krishna consciousness, then these other things will bother us. So until that point, we have to consciously try to avoid them. It's not, oh, because I still have taste for material things, I will enjoy them because I am not experiencing higher taste yet. But it doesn't need to be like that. We can use our intelligence. Until then, we can. This is gonna trap me. Experience is gained in many different ways. Through our own personal experience by miseries, or by hearing from other people who had that experience, that what is good, what is not good, or by hearing from the scriptures, we can refrain from things. The first class person, first class intelligent person, by hearing, he is able to refrain from things that are not good for him. The parents will tell him, the Shastra is telling him, then he'll be obedient to the Shastra, to the spiritual master. And they told me they know better, therefore I'll refrain from these things. And someone who is naturally Krishna conscious, then it's easy for them to avoid those things that are detrimental for Krishna consciousness. But we can make conscious effort to stay away from those things that will distract us by keeping ourselves in the association of devotees, and by naturally we'll stay away from them. And sometimes we may feel, I don't have taste for Krishna consciousness. We may feel like that, you know. And one time I think Chandramauli Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, you know, I don't know if I have taste for Krishna consciousness. I don't know if I'm enjoying these things. I may be just doing it because I have to do. But he asked, when was the last time you went for movies? I said, oh, why are you asking, Maharaj? I don't go for movies anymore. So he asked a few more things. So why are you not doing them? I don't like them. You don't like them because you're experiencing something better in Krishna consciousness. And he said, but you used to like them. You used to do all those things. The fact that you're not doing them means you're experiencing something in Krishna consciousness. So we have something, otherwise why are we doing all these things? We're not getting paid, all of us here, for coming here. It's 1 hour of your work, and most of you are really very advanced professionals, well-educated professionals. In this 1 hour, you could make good money. But you all chose to spend your time in hearing these beautiful words that are coming from the lotus mouth of Krishna and Arjuna. This Krishna-Arjuna Samvadam, the nectar flowing from the conversations of Krishna and Arjuna. Why? Because we have interest in it. We have some attraction to it. Without some ruchi, no one will take to bhakti. We are discussing in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The reason we come to bhakti is some ruchi. Because we have ruchi, we are executing bhakti. So we may not have, very solid, strong taste, but we have some ruchi. And that ruchi is what is helping us to avoid those things that are detrimental for Krishna consciousness. And this ruchi will be felt more in the association of devotees. And in the association of devotees, we can taste the beauty of the Lord. We can taste the beauty of the holy name, the process of Krishna consciousness, and then with this param drishti, then we can avoid the lower things in our that will be pulling us down. So before I go to the next verse, which will actually continue this theme, are there any questions or comments from anyone? Okay, there are no questions, comments. I can go to the next verse. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipashchitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Are there any volunteers who would like to read this purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses. But in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. Even Vishwamitra, a great sage and perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe type of penances in yoga practices. And of course, there are so similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to control the mind and the senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot see such material engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee who says, Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padaravinde nava nava rasa dhamni udayatam rantumasit tad avati pata nari sangamhi samaryamane smaramane bhavati mukha vikara shushtu nishti vanaham cha. Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turned from it and I spit at the thought. Krishna consciousness is such a transcendently nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distasteful. It is as if a hungry man had satisfied his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaj Amrish also conquered a great yogi Durvasa Muni simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. Sa vai mana Krishna padaravindur vasamshi vekunta gunanuvarnani.
Thank you, Mataji. So in this verse, Krishna is, giving, a warning for all of us that the senses are so strong and impetuous that even a vipaschitaha, an intelligent person, a man of discrimination, his mind can forcibly carry away. And actually the senses are the one that will carry away the mind. It's the senses that they want to do something. Suppose if you're driving by, we smell good, this smell of pizza. So you're driving by Pizza Hut, let's say Papa John's, and oh, it's so good, I want to eat, nice smell of pizza. But no, you cannot eat. It's not good for Krishna. There are all sorts of things in there in Papa John's. So the one who asked for it is it the mind who wanted to eat it for the very first time? Which sense has the desire to eat?
Tongue, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's the tongue. It's the tongue that will pull us first. The smell, sense of smell, and then the tongue, and then the stomach starts feeling, oh, I'm really hungry, and the tongue wants taste, and the smell is so good, and all these senses gang up and say, hey, mind, you should come up with some idea that we should eat this. The mind is saying, it's okay, I heard that they have vegetarian option here, and I heard somebody saying, you can, in times of like this, when you're really hungry, there's nothing to eat, you can just get it a vegetarian one, offer to Krishna and eat. And the mind is telling the intelligence, is that not right? And the intelligence is doing its discriminatory activities. It's okay. And then by that time, your hands also cooperating, and they just turn the other way, and you are in the parking lot. So the senses are the one that will pull the mind. The mind is like the ropes holding on to the horses, which are the senses. But when the horses pull strongly, then the ropes will, let loose. The intelligence cannot hold on to the ropes anymore, and then will become victim of the sense. And this is not just an ordinary person. And yatataha, the word yukta and yatata means one who is endeavoring. And he's a vipaschitaha. Has good intelligence, discriminating intelligence. But This mind is forcibly dragged by the senses, and intelligence could not do anything. The mind could not do anything. Even though the intelligence is superior to the mind, mind is superior to the senses. But the senses are so strong that they pull that person. But sometimes they say, no. When we have knowledge, then this is not possible. How can a Vipashita do this? Balavan Indriya Gramam. How does that verse go? Balavan Indriya Gramam. Vidvamsamapi karshati. Vidvamsam means one who is intelligence. Balavan Indriya Grama. The senses are very strong. That even Vidvamsam, even a great learned man, they will drag him. One time Vyasadeva, he is dictating, he's giving a class. He asked Jaimini Muni to take some notes. And he said, Balavan Indriya Gramam Vidvamsamapi karshati. What is it that Gurudev, can you tell me again? Balavan Indriya Gramam Vidvamsamapi karshati. Jaimini Muni was proud. Come on, I'm a learned scholar and I have pretty good sense control. Anyone who is learned, they will not be attracted. So he wrote Balavan Indriya Gramam Vidvamsam Napi Karshati. So then evening time has come and Jaimini Muni is in his hut and heavy rain was pouring outside, and suddenly a girl comes to his ashram and she's all soaked up in the water of the rain. And she said, can I please come in? It's so much rain outside. He said, please come in. And he has his fire in his hut. And all of a sudden, looking at that beautiful girl, and she's wet, her clothes are wet, he gets attracted to that girl and he tries to approach her. And she says, don't approach me. But he cannot resist. And then she says, okay, only on one condition, I'll be submissive to you. You have to carry me around this fire 3 times. And then he picks her up and is about to carry, and then she slams him on the head. Vidvamsam napi karshati, vidvamsam napi karshati, vidvamsam napi karshati. Senses should not attract a vidvamsa. Then suddenly he thinks of what he did. His guru was teaching and he was offensive. And then the girl disappears. And then Vyasadeva walks in and he smiles. And Jaimini falls at his guru's feet. He understands this is the illusion created by his guru. And I was so full, I thought I would never be attracted, but just I was immediately attracted. So Krishna is saying it's, we have to be very, very cautious and solidly situated in Krishna consciousness, because just some knowledge and knowing some scriptures and preaching to myself is not enough. Constant engagement in Krishna consciousness is very, very important. And for devotees, then it's, the more we become advanced, then it's possible. And Prabhupada gives the example of one devotee and 2 yogis. Vishwamitra, he was achieving perfection in yoga, but when Menaka, probably every one of you know the story, when Menaka comes, she's a heavenly damsel. Indra sends her because Vishwamitra was becoming very powerful. And he's meditating. And Menaka she makes sound of her ankle bells. That's all. Just the sound of her ankle bells or bangles. He just closed eyes, he's meditating, and just that sound itself. Sound is a sense object. Then that sound, when the ears heard that sound, then the ears liked that sound, and the ears got attracted, and then the ears told the mind, it's a nice sound. And it seems like a sound coming from a girl. And then his mind is thinking, oh, there must be a beautiful girl here. And then the eyes wanted to open and see. And that's it, he becomes attracted. And they produce a child whose name is Shakuntala, Abhignana Shakuntala, the best works, the best Sanskrit poetic work, Kalidasa's, very popular. Anyone who studies Sanskrit, they study Abhignana Shakuntala in their masters, in their PhD, or in their bachelor's, master work. Every different, in Sanskrit, you have these poetic things, all aspects of poetry are present in it. So, but you can see here, that was not his goal, but he was attracted. He was a Vidvamsa, great learned sage, yogi, but he was attracted. And so this is lust. But Yamunacharya, who was attracted previously when he was not a devotee, and Sukhobi was saying like he's like a second generation devotee, was born in a nice Brahmana family, but later he wanted to check out the material world. And his grandfather sends one of his disciples to save Yamunacharya. And Sukhobi was saying he was saved, in an interesting way. The disciple, every day he gives to the cook a nice vegetable. It's a leafy vegetable, I think, that Yamunacharya likes. And the cook cooks it and Yamunacharya enjoys it, and the cook, he stops coming. Sorry, not the person who gives it to the cook, he doesn't come anymore. Then the king asks, by this time Yamunacharya, he becomes a big king. And the king asks, oh, you're not making this preparation. There was a Brahmana who used to bring this, now he no longer comes, I don't know why. So, oh, who is that Brahmana? Tell me, let me know when he comes next time, or send a message to him, I want to see him. So then they'll have a discussion. And then the Brahmana tells Yamunacharya that actually your grandfather, he saved a big treasure for you. He told me to reveal that treasure to you. And he thinks, oh, I have to anyways, wage another battle and win another kingdom. I need some wealth to recruit people and stuff. Show me where it is. And eventually he says, but that this is the path, we have to go like this. No one else should come, only both of us will go. And it takes few days to go. And every day he gradually, reads Krishna Katha while they were going. And slowly he is becoming changed. And eventually he'll take him to Sri Rangam and he shows him Sri Ranganath. And then Yamunacharya realizes what he has lost, and he becomes a great devotee. And when he was a king, he was enjoying all kinds of pleasures, as is common. The king means in the mode of passion. And so, but after he becomes a devotee, then when he thinks about those pleasures, his lips become curled and he spits on the thought of enjoying with women. And that's the power of bhakti. Because of bhakti, he was able to transcend. And then this is for lust. Similarly, anger. One can be carried away by anger also. And for the anger, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of who?
Durvasa Muni.
Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni, he becomes a victim of anger. When Ambarisha Maharaja was breaking Ekadasi fast, and actually this was like 1 year fast. And when he was breaking the fast, the fast breaking time comes. Durvasa Muni is the guest at his home. He goes to take a bath in the river. Ambarish Maharaja, he thinks, fast breaking time has come. What should I do? However, when there is a guest, you cannot eat before your guest. So he consults with the other brahmanas, and they say, well, you cannot eat something, but you can drink a little water because you're doing nirjal. Take some water, then you'll be breaking the fast, and at the same time, you're not eating anything. So he agrees, he drinks the water, and Durvasa Muni becomes extremely angry. And he wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaja. He creates a being to kill Maharaja Ambarish. And now, when they say something to us, even if we did a little mistake and someone says something to us, we're like, why are you so angry? It's just such a simple thing. But if someone wants to kill you, and for really nothing wrong that you did, and you even consulted the brahmanas and they said it's okay. And look at you, you are such a great saintly person and you want to kill me? I mean, in every possible way, Ambarish Maharaja could become angry. That, what he could have just ordered the soldiers to kill the Rakshasa, or he could have fought. Forget about fighting, he's not even agitated. He didn't even become angry. Okay, he could have said, all right, everything is unjust, and I just resist, but absolutely no resistance. He simply folded his hands and he started praying Krishna. And how powerful Ambarish Maharaja is. And this is all because of his bhakti, that he thought, all right, this body is not a big deal. And he simply started chanting Krishna's holy name. And with his folded hands, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Absolutely no agitation. Kim Prabhasheta. No agitation in his bhasha. Simply taking Krishna's holy name. And he surpassed the great yogi. All the yogic powers that Durvasa Muni had, they didn't help to control his anger. But Ambarish Maharaja, his bhakti surpassed the yogic perfections of Durvasa Muni. We see that Durvasa Muni, with his perfections, he goes all over the world using his mystic perfections. He can travel in the space, do so many things, seeking protection from Brahma, Shiva, and ultimately Lord Vishnu. He couldn't get any protection until he falls at the feet of Ambarish Maharaja, because Sudarshan Chakra was chasing him for what he's trying to do. But Ambarish Maharaja, just by chanting, he attained all the powers by taking the name of Krishna, by engaging his mind on Krishna's lotus feet. So this is Paramadrishti. He engaged his mind in thinking of Krishna's lotus feet. Therefore, his mind is not agitated. He engaged his words in describing the glories of the Lord. Therefore, he was not speaking cursing words against Durvasa. So by this Paramadrishti, higher experience, his senses got higher experience. Therefore, his senses did not become victim. But Durvasa's senses did not have higher experience. He was only following the process of negation rather than the process of positive engagement. Same thing with Vishwamitra. They were not engaging their senses in bhakti, therefore they fell victim. But through Paramdrishti, Ambarish Maharaja and Yamunacharya, they were able to overcome lust and anger. So I'll stop here. Any questions, comments from anyone?
I like your analogy of the ropes pulling the senses.
Thank you.
Happens to me all the time. And I like your pizza analogy too.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how do we understand the 1 year fasting in Ambarish Maharaj's case?
Yeah, that is a different yuga. That is a different yuga. So they are able to do things like that. And for someone like us, it's not possible. We see, what is his name? Prahlad, Dhruva was doing. And Hiranyakashipu did for how long?
36,000 years.
Yeah.
36,000 years.
Yes. So in those days, for those souls, it's not difficult. It's a total, they're living in a different, different
Also
realm.
Satya Yuga, Prabhuji, for Amrish Maharaj.
I think Ambarish Maharaj is Satya Yuga. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll stop here. Unless Rasraj Prabhu was waiting to do any of his quiz. I think he's not. So we'll stop here. Happy Ekadashi. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare
Koti
Krishna.
Vaishnava ki jai, Shri
Hare
Prabhupada ki
Krishna.
jai. Hare